Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Genius Talk where we pick the brains of thought leaders from the world of L&D. I'm Apurva, your session host for tonight, and I'm also an L&D marketer from Animaker. For the people who don't know, Animaker is an AI animation platform with over 30 million users across the globe, out of which one third of them are actually L&D creators. This is part 2 of our conversation with Moe Ash, the founder and also the chief learning architect at The Catalyst, and we are going to continue our conversation about gamification. So, if you have missed out the part 1 of this interview, I highly recommend you all to check it out. I have added the link in the description. So Mo, let's continue with our discussion. Whenever we talk about gamification, Duolingo is often referred as one of the best examples out there for gamification. But you've mentioned in one of your interviews that, well, it's not even touching the surface level of gamification. So, if that's the case, then have you come across any application that does gamification well? So, if so, what is that application?
Gamification was put there as a lead magnet to make people come back. It was done there to make profits. And I don't blame them. Don't say that gamification is writing it, and don't promise that Duolingo is going to make you learn a language. Well, I just read an article a couple of days ago about one guy that went through 2,000 or 2,500 days on Duolingo. Okay, good. How many did that? And can you now go to a foreign country and talk with the natives using Duolingo? Not really. Not really. I'm sorry. It's a top-notch gamification system, but not for learning, for the app to work better. E-learning apps that are doing it better. Honestly speaking, I don't know much, to be completely honest. But I know some apps that are doing it right. Like, for example, you have the app Habitica. Habitica, it helps you do better tasks for yourself. And you have an avatar that you customize, and that's called a customization mechanic. And you put tasks, and it reminds you, and you level up, and you get better, and you go into dungeons, and you meet other people, and you meet your friends, and you create like a complete RPG life on it. And also you have Zombie Run. Zombie Run is an amazing fitness app that helps you. And Nike Fitness Club, it helps as well. Zombie Run, you're just listening and you're walking, and then the zombies are running after you. The music changes, it takes you to run, and it measures your heartbeat and what you're doing, and you're competing with the globe. I am no genius and I am no expert in gamification, but the person that I can call a thought leader and a genius is Yu-Kai Chao. In gamification, not of learning, in gamification. Yu-Kai Chao created the Octalysis framework, an Octa 8 analysis framework for gamification. And he created a book called Actionable Behavior. It's one of the best books in gamification. The entire world of Octalysis, which is Prime, is built on gamification. A complete open world for people that do gamification. LinkedIn uses gamification systems since God knows when. Remember when you started to create your profile, and then it gives you a rank? 85% of thought experts completed their profile to this. 90% did that. I'm like, I want to do the same as they do. And you should be doing a completion of your profile this way. And I'm going to do that. You got this amount of likes and shares. Look at the inside. This is the same thing as points and rewards. Okay? And you need to complete your profile to have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. This is customization mechanic. And obviously the new iteration that makes me want to barf out of it, which is, you're one of the few experts that are talking about e-learning. Go there and comment on this. And when you do, you will get yourself a badge as the top e-learning voice. Seriously? Seriously. And I'm going to be putting that badge. And the thing that really hurts my heart and it aches, that people start to put up, I'm a top e-learning voice in... You're a top e-learning voice because you commented on an AI created blog. And people did likes. Badges, again. But people want to compete. People are using gamification. This is a gamification. Gamification doesn't have to be a game with game elements that look like Sonic and Mario and Pokemon. No, they're using gamification mechanics.
Yes, I think LinkedIn was genuinely like, oh my god, I didn't even think about it that way. So yeah, it is amazing. When we talk about, so since we are talking about gamification and people taking part in gamification and all that, so in traditional e-learning modules and while making those courses, there's always a concept of measurement. How to measure the effectiveness of the course or the module. And for the traditional methods, the system is pretty simple. You just have to see how many people are taking the course, clicking on it, and all those numbers. So when it comes to gamification or game-based learning, how do you measure the effectiveness of it? I just wanted to know.
We're measuring the effectiveness by achieving the core of what the system wants. And this is the problem. If you're measuring the effectiveness of a program by completion rates, then if gamification will get you completion rates, then if the completion rate spiked up, then that is what you will get. If you're looking at when we're doing e-learning, we do storyboards, and to achieve that specific learning objective, we have enabling objectives according to each and every chapter and each and every module. We put a proficiency level, 60% here, 70% here, and this is what we planned our score with, okay? So what happens is we find people either failing or not getting into it, especially if it's SCORM, and we would fail them into it. Well, that's not because they're awful. It's because we built a system that did not offer them enough chance for them to get to that proficiency level. Here's where we're going to be looking at gamification. Okay, so do we have to put points? No, we can put progression systems. That's a gamification mechanic. So you want people to have like a gauge? Yeah. Meaning, in order for you to get to the final project or to the final destination, that will happen once the gauge reaches 100%. So prepare. That's a gamification mechanic. Also, one of the mechanics, believe it or not, is storytelling. So you can let people get into a story using e-learning. For example, I'm going to do a video on Animaker, an entire video. And I'm going to get that video. I'm going to go to Adobe Premiere or Camtasia. And I'm going to be putting that video and cutting it into chunks. And here, I'm going to be using the Animaker video to do a branching scenario. So every time they're doing something, there are consequences to what they're doing. And it continues on in animation. And it gives them feedback on what is right and what is wrong. Who said that gamification has to be only points? It's actually storytelling. And it teaches you about how you can get better at what you do. And if you do that, by the end of the story, you're letting the person get to the like engaging with their teams, doing a specific thing. Only here, you can get the reward or you can get to the final stage. And this is what we will be measuring with the score.
So I've been doing my some research about the game-based microlearning, and whenever I go through blogs, I often find out that you take microlearning, that is small bite-sized learning, you add badges, leaderboards, and all that same old jazz. So microlearning plus game elements is game-based microlearning. That's what it was told in most of the blogs that I went through. But in your video, one of the videos where you did game-based microlearning for cultural change, you said that we did it without any of these jazz elements. So what is basically game-based microlearning? What are the drawbacks, and what should be considered before doing?
I'm going to go back to two of my very beloved, I can call them colleagues at this point, and also they're my indirect mentors, whom are Carl Clapp, and also Dr. Robin DeFilippe. who created the book Microlearning Short and Sweet. So in their words, microlearning is a short instructional unit that puts people into a It's an instructional unit designed to put people in a short form of performance engagement to reach a specific learning objective. Fair enough? So if I took a complete Zoom video and dissect it into chunks of 15 or 10 minutes, that's not learning objective. It's not going to make me put into a learning objective. As long as that microlearning will help me do something or retain something or reinforce on a specific thing, then we're going to do microlearning. Game-based microlearning or a gamification system that was built on microlearning, as a matter of fact, we depended on certain things. One, it has to be very short, and it has to be done at a time where people are at leisure. They have the opportunity to go through this. So what we did a story that is stemmed out of their own processes and cultures. And we created that story so we would be culturally okay in the form of monsters. So no one would tell me, oh, they're white, they're Caucasian, they're brown, they're black, they're whatever. No one was going to say anything about this. Second, a monster, everyone can relate to a monster. We're all monsters. That monster is going through problems at work. What kind of problems? Problems related to the cultural model that we want people to have more awareness about. And we depended here on a cognitive bias called availability heuristic. So people, when they see a piece of information that is available and very relatable to them, they wouldn't have a problem with it. And it will become automatic to them. I have to capitalize on something they already know. So when they read it, okay, this is relatable. That's cognitive bias number one. That's nudge number one. Nudge number two. We always send this on 2 separate dates, on Mondays and on Thursdays. When? During 2 separate occasions. When they're going back home, either riding their buses or they're off work, and during lunchtime, when they're already going through their social media. So cognitive ease and prompt. And when they're doing this, it's not going to cost them no more than 10 minutes to go through the entire chapter. And we use 7 taps for this. And automated text messages with program bots that would give them feedback on their phones. So they would go through this, and the people that would finish up the entire 2 assets in 2 weeks, we will post about them, because we have a dashboard, all over the company. Everyone will know. No rewards, no points, no nothing. All over the company. And they will be noted for it. The week after, engagement got higher for 2 reasons. People wanted to know what happened the first week. Other people wanted to continue on the story for the next week. And every time we're putting in another factor of the cultural model. And this continued on for 3 months straight. Till every week, people started to wait for the story of Andrew and what happened with Andrew and what's going to happen next. The entire thing is built on question and answer, a simple narration, click with 7 taps, and they're collecting data about Andrew that would lead them to a final prize. And we ask them, did you notice something this episode? And we leave them with a code, and it opens up a padlock that gives them the right answer. Keep this answer and wait for next week. Urgent optimism. And they continued on doing this. What happened, according to the analysis of the company, is that people started to talk about Andrew and his story in meetings. And the quality of talking about the cultural model started to increase from less than 30% to 65% after 3 months, according to their sheets and their surveys. And this is how the whole thing worked.
I think this was a clarification for me because I was doing my research about it, and whenever I read blogs in general about gamification or any concept about it, the thing that I get is badges, leaderboards, and it was the same thing over and over again. So I think coming from an expert is really useful for me. So
You
yeah.
can use stories. You can use social interaction. Like, one thing is that you can do a community dashboard or a discussion board where people can give you what they've learned, and then you get those people and you represent them. So you can use the social factor as a gamification mechanic. Again, gamification doesn't have to be a damn game. It's utilizing the mechanics of a game to make the engagement factor better for the system's end goal.
You've quoted a lot of examples from your own work, but still, do you have any interesting stories where you have come up with a complete gamification or game-based approach, which was like something that is interesting that you would like to share with us from your whatever you did for your clients?
Well, we talked about two of them. There was another gamification system that was pretty simple, was pretty straightforward. We wanted to push people into following the rules and procedures of a factory. That was very simple. And it was no technology, no nothing. It was built on that people need to look at the job aid and the bulletin boards are there. So what we had to do is kind of like gamification / feng shui. Like where to place the job aids, what to do when people do it, using the CCTV to monitor the people's behaviors, notice what people are doing, function the social collaborations and the standoff meetings that they do together. And then we will put people into awareness sessions that reflect on their behavior without mentioning names, and then rewarding the people that did it so the others would feel jealous. And then afterwards, we started to put, what was it called? We started to put miniature QR codes. So it would have not technology, just a reward on a QR code. And that reward is hidden somewhere in the production line. And when they go there, they get a note, and that note tells them about another person that needs their help. If they did it, they will get the reward that is needed. Another QR code was talking about there's a problem on a production line. What would you do? Put your answer anonymously and put it in the discussion bin, so everyone would know about it. And at the end of the week, those discussion bins are categorized, and then we make a bulletin board and we put it beside the other one. So this is your voice. This is what you do. This took 6 months, and afterwards, people's behavior did change on the production line. They started to abide by it and abide by what is put in the job aid. And they started to form unitions, forms of collaboration, work between one another. That's something that was very simple, but it was riding high on people being the reason to make the job better, not putting a system that will push people to do the job better.
With that, we've come to the end of the part 2 of this interview, and we are going to jump into the rapid fire round. That is the part 3 of this interview, and these are just simple questions. I just want quick answers. That's it. So
Okay.
Let's get started. Your top 3 favorite games of all time.
Okay. Splendor. There it is. This one. This
Okay.
board game. Splendor.
Oh.
Okay. This board game. No one beats me in it. Try me. You will never beat me in it. Splendor. That's one. That's a board game. If it's a video game, Diablo. Love Diablo. It's me and my wife. We always play Diablo. And She kicks my ass a lot in it, although we play together, but she's pretty good in it. That's another one. A third game. Catan, maybe? Catan, one of the best. Love the game. It has a bit of everything. It's a great game, yeah.
Next question is, in your opinion, what is the one skill every L&D professional must have?
System engineering. They need to understand systems. System engineering is basically, I need to understand what are the components that I have, what are the relationships between them, and how to create patterns between them. How each and every piece of that systems component would be reflected on the other, and how it would affect one another, and how collectively it would get me to the final destination. It's not about me just blurping content or putting up something and putting learning objectives in the form of verbs. I need to understand that I want to take people to do a specific action. Then I need to put them into a system and an environment that is affected by the people, the environment, the vicarious form of learning that is happening, and the content, and how all collectively can create a unified system that can give me an outcome.
So the next question is, what is your favorite, or what is the go-to place you go to update yourself about gamification? It can be
Board Game Geek.
Is that a website?
That's a website. That's the holy book of board games.
Oh.
Go to the Board Game Geek and you click on mechanics. You would find almost over 1,500 different types of mechanics. And each and every mechanic, it would tell you which board games have those mechanics. So this is my place. When I'm stuck on ideation, I want to go and see what other games are there. Yeah, that's one of my secrets. I go there, I look at the games, I look at the forums, I look at the images, I look at what people are saying. Sometimes I would download the rules, I would download prototypes of the game, see how it works, get ideas, go back to what I'm doing. So this is for board games. And also, if you want to do research on card games, simply put on Google PNP, print and play games. Some are for money, some are free. Go and look, what are those cards doing? How are they being played? Many creators do it for free. So my go-to and my third go-to place is Pinterest.
Really?
Yeah. Just search on Pinterest about games and gamifications and systems. You would find a gold mine.
What's the one thing that you wish you knew when you started your career?
I don't know, honestly. Because everything happened for a reason and led to where I am now. When I was younger, I would always said, if I had more money, if I had a better opportunity, if I went to this country, if I did this. But when I look back at it, everything led to where I am. I'm not in the optimum version of where I am, but I am somewhere that I am okay with and I'm happy with, and there's more to do. And all of what I've done led to this. So I'm content. No what ifs. No what ifs. It's fun. I was just talking with a friend of mine. She was here at the office early, and I told her what one thing happened back in 2010. It was a crossroad. It would have took me to Dubai to be a training manager and work in organizational training. But instead, my manager was like, no, you go. You stay. I was the one that stayed. And I was like, why the hell would I not go to Dubai and start off a career over there? They might need me. You're bilingual. I want you here. You're going to handle these projects. But I'm more senior. I should go. And it led to where I am. Even my marriage led to this. My wife is my partner in the business, and she creates the aesthetics of the games. I did not know this when I married her. Let's just be clear about that. Later on, she career shifted. She's an e-learning developer and she's a graphic designer. So I create the design, she puts it into life.
Again, this is also a hypothetical question. So if you had chosen a different occupation, what would it be?
I've always thought if I did not do this, I would have continued on in the UN. I wanted to be a diplomat. I wanted to continue on I had an opportunity to do work with peacekeeping missions. and to go to indigenous areas in the world, specifically in Latin America, and continue on with that. That was one way. The other thing is that at one point in my life, before I got into instructional design, I'm like, hell with training. I don't want to continue on in training and development. I'm going to go and work in public relations. Why? I don't know. It sounds good. I'm going to start from scratch. So those were the two things.
What is the one piece of information that you would want the viewers of this video to of this session to take on for their life when they think about gamification?
Okay, gamification is not a game. Gamification is a system. If you want to know more, there are a couple of books that can help you with this. Go back and read Carl Kapp's book on gamification of learning. Go check out the Octalus's book about actionable behavior so you can understand the back end of behavioral mechanics. Go check Map It by Kathy Moore. Designed for How People Learn by Julie Dirksen. The Elements of Choice, that's another book. And do read Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman so you can understand more about the reflective system and how people make choices and decisions. Gamification touches base on sociology, motivational psychology, behavioral science, and business.
We have come to the end of this interview. This was such a fabulous session, Mo. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you so much, Apoorva. It was a pleasure.